All right, that was short-lived. Okay, hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm so excited for this one because in this video we are discussing dreams, crystallizing your dreams, crystallizing your imagination, okay? Because there was not one thought, okay? You don't just think something and then have it not appear, right? Everything that exists in this physical reality was once a thought. It was once a dream. And then it was crystallized into this material world. My last live yesterday, my sound was acting a little funky. So I think we're good. Willow's here. It's going to be a great live. I wanted to discuss something in Neville Goddard's book, Awakened Imagination, and I want to go over this process of crystallizing dreams because this is really fun. Once you understand this, the light bulb will turn on and you will manifest anything that you want, okay? So, Awakened Imagination, this is the 6th chapter called It Is Within. And this is what he says. He says, our ideals are waiting to be incarnated, but unless we ourselves match our inner speech and action to the speech and action of fulfilled desire, they are incapable of birth. Meaning that if you are thinking something day and night and you have this inner conversation, even the law of thought transmission, you're hearing somebody say something to you, you're hearing, you're having an inner conversation with someone else, and that is not changing your attitude and it's not changing your mood, therefore changing your behavior in the physical reality, then it is incapable of being produced in the physical reality. It won't materialize, it won't crystallize, okay? Inner speech and action are the channels of God's action. I'll do that one more time. Inner speech and action are the channels of God's action. He cannot respond to our prayer unless these paths are offered. The outer behavior of man is mechanical. It is subject to the compulsion applied to it by the behavior of the inner self, and old habits of the inner self hang on till replaced by new ones. Okay, I'm gonna skip a couple sentences because I think this is the reason why I decided to create this live. Because he goes on to saying, the mystic calls a change of consciousness death. By death, he means not the destruction of imagination and the state with which it was fused, but the dissolution of their union. Fusion is union rather than oneness. Thus, the conditions to which that union gave being vanish. I die daily, right? We've heard that in scripture. I die daily, said Paul to the Corinthians. This is in 1 Corinthians 15:31. Okay, so I am using this passage to explain crystallizing dreams because when you are in a daydream or when you have an actual dream and you're wondering, okay, will this actually materialize? Well, it's usually a good indicator, not a dictator. It's an indicator that this is a potential reality. This is a potentiality. And with the actions that you do in your physical reality will determine whether or not it crystallizes, right? So in other words, everything that is on this physical plane, everything that is in our 3D reality right now has already died. It has, in a sense, died because it was once a thought, it was once being created and crystallized, and once it crystallized, that is the manifestation itself. That means it's already, there's nothing else that needs to come from it, right? I hope that this is making sense, and you guys can let me know in the comments. But what I'm trying to say is that the manifestation is the emotion, the manifestation is the thought, and you continuing to stay in that thought form and giving it energy, giving it emotion, giving it all the tones of reality will make it crystallize. By the time it crystallizes, that is proof of what you've been thinking in your mind. When something happens to you, when your circumstances right now, your certain circumstances right now, that is proof of what you have been thinking in the past, right? And some of it is, there are times when it's instant manifestation, right? Where we deal with instant. That is true too. But the point is that you have to have thought it and had to have put the tones of reality to it in order for it to crystallize. So in other words, this is the land of the dead. Everything that is here, I mean, even us as consciousness, right? We're experiencing this 3D reality. Everything here has already been thought of. It's already been manifested. And now we're just reaping what we sow. Julie says, how often do you practice these techniques? So you practice often until it crystallizes. It depends. So there's different depending on who you listen to, who you gather information from. With the practices that I've learned in Neville Goddard's book, I do it until it feels natural to me. It would feel very natural for me to have that thing. Some people, you know, it's interesting because some people will say, well, I was affirming for this and I didn't care about it. I wasn't even thinking that hard about it, and it materialized. And it's like, well, yeah, that's actually a great spot and a great state of being to be in, because when you're in that neutral, or maybe let's say you're not caring about it, it's not that you don't care, because you wouldn't have been affirming in the first place. But when you get into the neutral state of being okay whether it materializes or not, that's a very sweet spot, because you understand your power. You understand how powerful you are, therefore it can materialize. And it's very natural. Everything that happens in this world happens very naturally. And the more that you continue to do this and prove to yourself that you have this ability, the more you get into magical synchronicities or positive synchronicities that you can't really explain. You don't know how this stuff is happening. It's just one thing after another, and everything is aligning so magnificently, and you're like, wow, I'm just observing all of these positive synchronicities all at once. I think it's important to do it often and have your own affirmations. That's important to you. Yeah, and I think that's a really great point, because when your energy, so let's look at taking away the affirmations, right? Taking away affirmations. Everything is vibration. Everything is energy. When we look at it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, then we'll start to understand how we can use affirmations to our benefit, right? So a statement like, my business is booming, in the English language, that has many different connotations. That does not literally mean that your business is booming, but the meaning and the definition that you have assigned, the energy that is in equation with that affirmation, is what gets you the result. Does that make sense? So you could say, like, I know some people, they like to, use language like, I'm a bad bitch, or whatever the case may be. That doesn't necessarily, that word means different things for different people. I don't affirm something like that, but some people do. And it puts them in a state of feeling a certain type of way. It's not about the affirmation itself. It's about what the affirmation means to you. That's why it is so personal. And that's why you have to find whatever affirmation works best for you, because it's not going to be a one size fits all. It's not. So I'm glad that you brought that point up, and thank you for saying that. So that's really all that I wanted to say here. Just reiterating. So I'll say it again. The mystic calls a change of consciousness death. So It's really all about not getting so worked up if something has not crystallized immediately, right? There's going to be circumstances. If you are, let's say you're affirming for a certain thought and you're not seeing it happen immediately in the 3D, there's going to be circumstances that are going to lead you to accepting more and more of that reality and of that realness. Reality, literally, real is in the word reality. It needs to be real to you. It needs to be honest. It needs to be almost, in a sense, logical. Although this stuff is not logical, but you get the point. It needs to seem like it's working for you, right? And you can convince yourself. You can find proof that you should start a book club with Neville. I seriously, I think that Neville he's really, really good at putting things into words, and creating he's really good at creating books that have a very high frequency. One thing that I would love to get into on Neville's teachings. So one thing that I wanted to say, because Neville's teachings, they are very good, okay? One thing that I've learned throughout reading Neville's stuff, all of his books and his lectures, is that he does not give himself the credit. And I think that if he were alive today, I don't think that he would enjoy as much popularity or praise. I don't think that he would enjoy as much praise as he has been receiving, because he mentions time and time again that the information he's receiving is from the Bible. The person that taught him, Abdullah, there's like information floating around about him, but he's a very mystical man. There's not a lot of information, accurate and factual information about this guy. But I think what's very fascinating is that Neville, I don't think that his intention was to tell people how exactly, like, if you do it this way, then that is the only way. I think his intention is to just show people that your imagination is God, and however you imagine yourself to be, that is it. And here's how you, through the law of liberty, you have the choice to think whatever you want to think. Through these scriptures, this is how you can see yourself in every single circumstance. And this is how you can overcome any challenges, any obstacles. He mentions how the Bible has every single crime in history ever recorded. Every crime is in the Bible. If you are going through any type of circumstance, you can find it in the Bible, and you can find a way on how it relates to you and your circumstance. And I just find that so interesting. In every single one of these books, he is quoting scripture like no other, and he's expanding on the scripture. It's not even like he's creating something new. He's just quoting the scripture, and then he's expanding on what that scripture actually means, because Abdullah, his mentor, understood the Bible in its original form. Okay? Find that so fascinating. Neville is a great writer, and yeah, I don't think that he would want as much because he's pretty popular now. Or maybe he did. But yeah, he was a dancer and actor. He grew up in Barbados, and then he ended up he lived in New York, and then he died in Los Angeles, like Emmett Fox. Yeah, and I actually don't know too much about Emmett Fox. I've read about Neville Goddard. I've read about Joseph Murphy. I've read about like Wayne Dyer, all of those people. Yeah, but I've never heard of Emmett Fox, so I might have to get into his stuff. I think that's all I have to say for this one. Oh, actually, one more thing. So Bashar, I've been listening to him a lot lately, and all of his teachings coincide with what Neville Goddard has been talking about in using your imagination, right? Crystallizing your dreams, having things come to fruition, and you're just going with the flow. You go with the flow, and all of a sudden your life is just changing. It doesn't need to be this effort trying process, right? So Bashar, he gives this equation, it's this, not equation, it's this formula. And the formula is to act on your highest excitement to the best of your ability, and to do it until you can't do it any further, and do it with no expectation on the outcome. This formula is very similar to what Neville Goddard describes when he talks about crystallizing your dreams, crystallizing anything that's in your imagination. One of the main things that he talks about is right before you go to bed, think lovely and good thoughts. Think of the things that you want to experience in your physical reality and put the tones of reality in your imagination when you're doing these exercises. And then drop it. Completely drop it. So that's what he says, right? That's the formula for Neville. And then the formula for Bashar is saying the exact same thing, but in a different way. It's just so fascinating. You live your life and live it to the fullest, be in the present moment, and when you're doing things that are exciting, you're very in the present moment, right? So you're living in the present moment to the best of your ability till you can do that no further, right? This is the most that you can do. This is the best that you are doing. And then do that with no expectation. You let go, you drop it, no expectation on the outcome. The same formula. I'm doing this live too, and I'm having this epiphany again and again. It's like every time I say it, I'm getting this epiphany because it is the complete kit. And Bashar, he explains it as the complete kit. When you are experiencing excitement, that is your body's physical expression. That is the physical language of being pushed towards your higher self, right? We talk about the higher self. We talk about the 3D. Yeah, and you leave it to God, right? So our higher self, i.e. the version that is seeing everything, it sees everything, it is connected to one. We are all one, right? We're this consciousness, but then we're all one. We can connect to each other, and it's very interesting once you apply this principle, because when I wake up in the morning and I try to follow my highest form of excitement, that may not look like I'm bouncing off the walls. It may just look like me reading. It may just look like me, brushing my teeth, washing my face, getting started for the day, doing things that excite me, things that feel refreshing. And then throughout my day, I'm being led to these series of different forms of excitement. It's like this momentum keeps building and building and building, and it keeps creating these positive synchronicities. The things that I've been experiencing in my life have been very miraculous to some people because of how I'm listening to myself and how I'm going with the flow, right? How I'm going with the flow and how I'm just following what I can do in that moment, my highest form of excitement. So I'm following my highest form of excitement, and it's leading me to other forms of excitement. And again, this does not mean bouncing off the walls and, getting crazy every second, 24/7. It's exciting to go to sleep. You know what I mean? So if it's exciting for you to take a nap, if it's exciting for you to eat a certain type of food, those series of excitement actions and behaviors will lead to more of those things. So I've been trying this out. The results have been incredible. And it's been all of the things that I've been wanting to crystallize have been happening. Now, one thing before I go, I feel like I keep saying this. So I have dreams and I lucid dream. I haven't been lucid dreaming as much lately, but when I used to lucid dream a lot, they would materialize. And it was because the dreams that I had, I would believe in their validity. I would have the lucid dream and say, that's going to happen. So if you clicked on this video wanting to know how to crystallize your actual dreams, not like visions or your imagination, things that are happening in your mind, you can do that as well. I remember I had this dream about an SP at the time, and it was a very lovey-dovey, it was a very nice dream, and it happened almost verbatim. And I do not know how to explain why it happened verbatim. All I know is that I woke up and I was like, oh yes, so that's gonna happen. And I was really excited. It was a form of excitement. And that symbol, that dream, the dream was a symbol and it materialized. I want to say like a month or two later. It was only until I looked back. I didn't realize that it actually materialized until much later after the fact of it happening. But yeah, you can definitely, your dreams can be symbols. They can be whatever you want them to be. So if you have a really good dream, I would just use that as a permission slip, as Bashar would also call it. I would use it as a permission slip to allow yourself to feel excited. All right. If you guys have any questions, just let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.